Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be playing with some brand new dies from Honeybee Stamps to create this magical Christmassy front porch scene. This is the Lovely Layers front porch die set. You can see it has lots of detailed dies to create this gorgeous front porch, and there is a wintry Christmassy add-on die set so you can dress it up for the holidays. We're going to jump in and die cut out the first main base piece. I'll show you each of these pieces die cut and how to put them together. I'm cutting from a 5.5 by 4 1/4 inch piece of cardstock, and there are some details in this that press rocks and some scoring into the paper to create lines. I'm using my universal plate system from Spellbinders and running that through again with the E and D plate on top, and it's really going to help press those details into the paper even more. The second layer here is this big arched piece. It has all this wooden detail, like wood grain, and so running it through with that embossable plate with the universal plate system really helps that to show up. So if your detail pieces don't show up well, make sure and add that extra step if your machine provides that. All right, next we're adding on the second layer to that top arch piece. It's got even more wood grain detail, and adding on these layers allows you to use different shades of color, or you can just layer it up for more of a 3D look. It's very cool. So you can see all of the wood grain there. It looks great. And then we're adding this piece right here, which is just the roof line, and then you've got like the shingles that show up behind it. So I did mine in 2 different shades of brown. We've got the doorway itself here. This is like the base of it, and then you're again going to build on top of this. So we're going to add the door and the side panels around the door. I decided to do a red door because it was very festive, and I am going to turn this into a wintry Christmassy scene, so red seemed like a really fun choice for this card. Then there is a window just above the door. I die cut that from a separate piece of cardstock. I wanted my window frame to be brown, so I did that, and it's going to glue right in place because that white base piece has embossed lines in it. Now for the columns, there's one end where the top pieces are a little bit flared out, and that will help you know which end goes up. So there's one for each side of the door, and I also did these in white. Next, we have a light. You can do 1 or 2 of these. There is a place you can put this right at the top of the door, and I thought that was a really fun look, but you could also put it on the wooden beams on the either side of the doorway, and it would look fun there too. Next, we have a topiary. There are 3 pieces, the base piece that I die cut from brown, and then there's a planter pot I die cut from black, and then the greenery itself, which both of those layered on pieces have embossed detail in them. So you can add the detail, make the detail more prevalent by using that embossable plate system. So you can make one for either side of the door. I'm not sticking mine down because I'm going to use that Christmas add-on. This is the mailbox. I really thought I was going to use it, and that I thought the door or the column, but I better wait because of the Christmas add-ons, and I don't end up using the mailbox at all. So here I have Y21 for just a little bit of the look of light coming from the house. And then my lighter color here is YR31, and that's going to just give me a little bit of difference between the light and the dark areas. I also did the windows on either side of the door and the light above the door with those same markers. Then I'm going to color and add color to the rocks around the door. Now I decided to do this once the door was already in place because I knew I wouldn't have very many rocks to color, so I didn't need to spend extra time coloring all of them if they weren't going to show. And I just chose some kind of neutral colors, but I wanted there to be some browns and grays. So here you can see all 4 of the markers I used to color that up, and I love how it turned out. I even added some to those side pieces that look like stone as well. I added some shading with my C0. I actually went back in with C2 because this just dried back too light. So in the end, I did go a shade darker there. I used my white gel pen on the windows to create a little bit of a shine mark, and that really helped them have even more of a light light up look, or even like the look of glass. Then for some more shading around that 3D wooden area, I used E49 just to bring in a little bit of a darker color so you could see the 3 dimension of this even better. Then for the shading on the door, I used R29, and you just want to go with a shade that's darker than the cardstock you've used. Maybe you're coloring this whole thing with your Copics, and then you could really add in the shading. And when I was doing this, I realized there's a spot for a doorknob on this door, so I actually bring in a black marker and add a little touch of a doorknob right there with my 110 Special Black. Then I needed a little bit of darkness on the roof line and those slats, and so I brought in E53 for that. I just really loved adding the shading in. It really brought this even more to life, and it's easy to do because all of those pieces are, you know, the images are pressed into the paper, so it's super easy to go ahead and add that shading. All right, so now we're going to create a card front for this. Now this is just the front porch, so I wanted something behind it that looked like the siding of a house. So I decided just to score a piece of brown cardstock every 1/4 of an inch, and this could look like the siding behind my front porch. So there we have it. You could use the front or the back depending on which way you wanted your lines to go. Mine are pressed down into the paper, and I'm going to add a little shading around the edge with gathered twigs first. And I actually didn't really love how this turned out. It was a little bit too golden, so I decided to soften it out a little bit, make it a little bit darker with some ground espresso. So I just did both, and I think having both was fine. Having the lighter color underneath gives it even more of a look of shading. So we'll add that to an A2 size card. It's going to cover it edge to edge because this piece of paper is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and that'll be the front of my house, which really gives this front porch the look that it's on like a really nice cabin, you know, like up in Aspen where it's super snowy. So I added a lightweight piece of chipboard to the back of this, and then I colored the edge of it so the white didn't show because I wanted this to pop up off of the card, but just a little bit, not as much as I would get with foam squares, and this just helped make it really sturdy. So this is going on the very front of the card. You can see it fits edge to edge. Look at all the detail on that card. So cool. Now let's dress it up for Christmas using the add-on die set. It has a snowman, a wreath, some garland, lights, a little tree, all the details. So we're going to put together the tree. I have a red glittery pot for my tree to sit in. I have this red bow, which is 3 layered layers, and it is so full of detail and so cute. I'll put that on the wreath, and then there's some little decorations slash like ornaments you can add to the tree and you can add to the wreath. So that just helps add to the realism of this, and it's really cool. I'm adding the tree right to the door. But before I put my tree on, I wanted to add some snow. So I'm bringing in some Snowfall grit paste. This is like my favorite. You can see I've almost used up this jar. I love this because it looks so realistic. So I'm going to put it right there in front of the house, just using a palette knife to kind of smear it on there. And then my tree is going to get popped up. You can see no adhesive on the pot because that's going to overlap my Snowfall grit paste there. And then the top will be at the same height as the rest of it. I also wanted to add a little to the roof line, so I'm just doing tiny little amount at a time at once, and then going back, getting a tiny bit more, adding it on. Now once this is like halfway dry, you can kind of use your finger to like press on it and mold it if you have some that's a little, you know, scattered or wonky or pokey. So there's a tip. Next, we're going to put our snowman together. He is darling, but he has the tiniest itsy bitsy little die cuts for his eyes and his mouth. But the face is pressed into the paper. So if it's too much for you to fiddle with the tiny little pieces, you can always take a black fine tip pen and color in the indented spots for the mouth and the eyes. Super easy. All right, let's move on to the scarf. Now, this scarf is kind of made for these two long hanging pieces to be more overlapped than how I put them, but I liked it a little wonky, so that's how I put it. Then he gets a little top hat, which I die cut from some black glitter cardstock. I love to throw in glittered cardstock on my die cut scenes. So he has a glitter cardstock hat in black. And one thing that I do love about this snowman die set is that the twig arms have mittens. So all you have to do is layer on top of the mitten shape with the die cut colored mittens. And there's even a little cuff die cut for the bottom of the mitten. Very cool. I am adding some white gel pen lines to the green scarf I added to my snowman, and then he is also getting popped up right there by the front door. He's so cute. And then it's time to add some Christmas lights. I die cut the light portion of this die set, or die layered, yeah, with adhesive backed glitter paper. That's what I did. And I did red and white glitter paper, and the black is just black cardstock. So we'll string that across the front of the house. It's so cute. And then I'm going to add a little shimmer with a Wink of Stella pen to the bow on the wreath because it kind of gets lost in the redness of the front door. So that really helped it to stand out. Then there is this garland piece. I am not actually using it on my card. It just felt like too much. But I wanted you to see you have the option of also adding this and putting bows at the 3 points, or you can use it instead of the lights, however you want to do it. Right, next, to add even more of a snowy, wintry, Christmassy feel to my card, I have some white acrylic paint, and I am using that to just paint on some snow right over the top of all of the things. And I like doing this sometimes instead of splatter for a little bit more control, and you can put it on top of the Snowfall grit paste. I like that I have some spots of snow that aren't perfectly round. They're not all the same size. It really gives it a realistic snowy feel. Now the front of this card is really heavy, so you might want to add a second layer on the inside if you're going to do a card like this, but it is gorgeous. I mean, it really has so much detail, and I think that it's going to be a really special card that you could give somebody with all the detail that is in this. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video and maybe just feel a little bit more comfortable playing with this set because you've seen it put together. And I thank you so much for watching. If you want more inspiration from ScrapbookPal, make sure you visit us on Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook. And we'll be back again very soon with another new video just for you. Bye.